Last week I gave you 5 names that I said I think you got to go try to buy low on them in Dynasty right now if you can. But today, we're doing the opposite, talking about 5 players. I think it's time to trade these guys away if you got them on your Dynasty team because, the warning signs are there that we've probably seen the best from these players. And as I always say, I think it's better to trade a player away too soon than too late. Now, let's start with a guy that it really pains me to have Christian McCaffrey on this list because if you watched our main channel, like our redraft channel last year, I was telling everybody, draft Christian McCaffrey this year. He's healthy. He's going to be a monster. He's got league-winning upside. And sure enough, he was healthy. He was a monster, and he definitely had league-winning upside. If you had Christian McCaffrey, probably helped you win a championship, helped me win a Dynasty League, helped me go undefeated for the first time ever in a Dynasty League. But now I'm saying it's probably time to move off Christian McCaffrey if you can. Remember, this guy is going to be entering his age 30 season. He's coming off a career high 413 touches, and that doesn't even include the playoff games. Now, at the time I'm recording this, I don't know if San Francisco has beaten Seattle, but either way, he's probably going to go well over 450 touches, and if they make a deep run, he could be getting close to 500 touches. Now, touches aren't necessarily the kiss of death. It doesn't guarantee injury. I mean, we've been saying for years about Derrick Henry, like, look how many touches this guy has. He's going to break down, and he keeps chugging along. Saquon Barkley had over 400 touches back in 2024, his historic season. He didn't miss a game last year. Now, of course, he wasn't as good either, and that's really my worry here with Christian McCaffrey. Like, okay, yes, I understand the injury apprehension is higher with Christian McCaffrey because we've seen him miss a lot of games, a lot of seasons, but I'm not necessarily worried about that. But I am worried about the efficiency. We've even seen it the last 2 years. Only 4 yards per carry, 3.9 yards per carry. Yes, he's still a high-volume running back. He's still going to get heavily involved in the passing game. He's going to have touchdown upside. But as I said, a running back like him with all this wear and tear, entering his age 30 season, who's coming off another phenomenal year where his value is back super high, being ranked back inside the top 30, 35 dynasty players, think this is a time to sell high on Christian McCaffrey. All right, so what am I looking to give for Christian McCaffrey? Well, as far as draft picks go, I need a very, very early first. I don't think I can get the 101 for Christian McCaffrey necessarily. If I can get the 102, the 103, and have a chance at Mendoza and Superflex or Jeremiah Love to replace them to get younger at, yeah, I think I would go ahead and pull the trigger. But a mid-late first, that's not enough for Christian McCaffrey. I'd also be willing to get a little bit younger at running back with a guy like Bucky Irving, still not even 24 years old, still clearly the workhorse running back for the Bucs. Yes, we saw the efficiency drop in 2025, but he's still a young workhorse running back with talent. Or if I needed wide receiver help, go get me a wide receiver like Chris Olave, only 25 years old, has Kellen Moore there, who's just a cheat code for offenses. Tyler Shuck looked like he could develop into a good enough quarterback. So if I needed wide receiver help, I think Olave is fair. And then maybe, just maybe, you could get a guy like Ted McMillan coming off not a fantastic season, but, still has plenty of upside. Or another, second-year running back like Travion Henderson. Again, didn't exactly light it up as a rookie, but they are valued a little bit ahead of Christian McCaffrey, but not by a whole lot here. So those are some younger wide receivers or running backs I think you might be able to get for Christian McCaffrey as well. Now let's move on to a quarterback, and I think especially in your super flex leagues, if you've got Baker Mayfield, this is a great time to sell high. He's still kind of valued as a, top 15 quarterback in Dynasty here, kind of living off of, what he did in year 1 with the Bucs, which, was a surprise compared to what he did his entire career. And then, of course, what he did in 2024 with Liam Cohen there, but when he was great. But you look at it outside of the Liam Cohen year, he has never averaged more than 16 points per game in any of the years of his career. He's over 30 years old now. We just saw Trevor Lawrence look like the generational talent #1 pick with Liam Cohen. I really think Liam Cohen was the cheat code for Baker Mayfield. Liam Cohen is not coming back to the Buccaneers, that is for sure. So I really do think we've seen the best of Baker Mayfield. Fine, he's still a serviceable QB2, like a low-end QB2, but he's being valued higher than that. So especially in your super flex leagues, if you've got Baker Mayfield and you're good at quarterback, you've got good QB depth, go shop Baker Mayfields to some of the teams that need quarterback help. I think you can get some high-end picks and some really good players in return. When looking at what I'd like to get back, I would like a mid first. I'm talking about super flex leagues here, a mid first. So say like 105 to the 107, where I could potentially draft, one of the incoming rookie QBs, although the QB class is getting a little thin here, or maybe even a young wide receiver or running back. Or you know what? I would go ahead and trade Baker Mayfield straight up for a guy like Cam Ward. Let me just get younger at QB. I think Cam Ward has a ton of potential still. I talked about him on the buy low video. Don't know who the coach of the Titans is going to be yet, but Cam Ward still has tons and tons of potential, and you are getting significantly younger here. And Cam Ward right now is being valued, lower than Baker Mayfield in most dynasty, leagues and rankings. Or go out and get a guy I just talked about, Tyler Shough here, and maybe get like a second round pick thrown in for Shough. Shough is still being absolutely slept on in dynasty, in fantasy football. Kellen Moore is a cheat code. He gives you a little bit of rushing upside. I would rather just go get younger, get Tyler Shough, and maybe get like a second round pick thrown in. Hey, real quick before I get to the rest of the names on the list, if you're enjoying any of the content we are putting out for you, the Dynasty content, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second and is completely free. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of January. We're almost there. Help us get there. Hit that subscribe button. All right, now a wide receiver that I just have not been as high on as most people over the last few years. That is A.J. Brown. Going to be entering his age 29 season this year. Will he even be an Eagle in 2026? I really don't even know here, but honestly, this guy has always felt overrated to me for fantasy. Yes, he's a good wide receiver, but he has those, stretches where he just does nothing for your fantasy team. Saw him in that game in the playoffs. I mean, does he even want to be out there for the Eagles just dropping easy passes? And again, he still has a ton of name value. He's still being valued as a high-end wide receiver, typically a top 50 player in Superflex Dynasty leagues, a top 15 wide receiver in Dynasty leagues, and I really just don't think he is worth that. Yes, when you look at his numbers by the end of the season, you're like, oh, pretty good season for A.J. Brown. But if you have ever had A.J. Brown in fantasy, it doesn't feel like that. You get 4 or 5, maybe really big games, and the rest of the time you're just wondering, like, why am I even starting this guy? Look, he's getting to the point where he's coming to the end of the wide receiver prime. You don't want to be holding this guy into his age 30, 31 season. And what if he goes somewhere not so great in free agency this year? I think it's just better off. You're just better off trading away A.J. Brown right now. And again, I'm going to say when I'm looking for returns here, I want a mid-pick 105 to the 107 because that's where A.J. Brown is being valued. I'm not selling this guy for peanuts, but if I can get a mid-pick and go get a replacement wide receiver, one of these incoming rookies, I'll do it. I would also go out and get younger at wide receiver with a guy like Rome Odunze, who's coming off, not the year 2 breakout we wanted to see. Yeah, he started off hot, but then he kind of faded. But he's in this Ben Johnson system. He's got Caleb Williams. I'd rather just go get younger. He kind of felt just as frustrating as A.J. Brown, so let me just go get a younger A.J. Brown. And again, not a massive age discount here, but T. Higgins is only in his age 27 season. I think he'll be entering his age 28 season, but you got to think he still has a couple 2 to 3 very good years left here. And there's no worry about his future. We know he's tied to Joe Burrow. He's been a stud every game he's played. When he's healthy with Joe Burrow, he's pretty much a stud. Just go out, get T. Higgins. Both these guys are being valued lower than A.J. Brown. Now let's finish with a couple of running backs, starting with Kyren Williams. Look, Kyren Williams is still only 25 years old. He's in this great Rams offense, Sean McVay, but we saw in 2025 a healthy amount of Blake Corum. In fact, over the last 3 years, Kyren Williams' opportunity share has gone from 4th to 2nd to 19th in 2025. Corum is only going to get more involved here. Remember, he's entering year 3. He's young. The Rams drafted him for this exact reason. We're not going to see less Blake Corum. We might even see more Blake Corum in 2026. And Kyren is still a guy being valued as a top 15 running back in Dynasty, despite the concerns here, because he's still a productive fantasy running back because of the touchdowns, because of the pass catching. But man, if his opportunity share dwindles even more in 2026, he no longer could be a viable, week in, week out fantasy starter at running back. Again, I would rather just trade him away now rather than have him on my team in 2026 and watching Blake Corum, splitting carries, splitting touchdowns with him. So if I could trade Kyren right now and get like a mid to late first round pick, I'm talking like 108 to the 112, I would do it. Just go ahead, give me, one of the new rookies, either wide receiver or running backs coming in that range that I can get. Or maybe you can go out and get Cam Skattebo, another guy I talked about on that buy low video, who's being ranked lower than Kyren Williams right now. Look, you got to feel pretty good about Cam Skattebo with John Harbaugh. At least it makes me feel even better about him. Coming off a major injury, people aren't completely sold on Skattebo. If I can trade Kyren straight up for him, I would do it. And then if you need a tight end, I think Harold Fannin, Tucker Kraft, they're being valued very similarly to Kyren Williams. Just give me these guys. I mean, Harold Fannin looks like he's going to be an absolute monster at the tight end position, and Tucker Kraft was a monster until his injury. So, look, if I am desperate at tight end and I'm pretty deep at running back, I would trade Kyren for one of these tight ends. And then finally, I think it's time to move off of Josh Jacobs as well, going to be entering his age 28 season. Now, look, he's still going to be a Green Bay Packer. At the time I'm recording this, I'm not sure about Matt LaFleur. There's rumors that they may still fire him. They may try to trade him or something. But, either way, Josh Jacobs is probably going to be the guy in Green Bay. But look, he has been living off of touchdowns, 30 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. Now, look, I know touchdowns are great. There's nothing wrong with that. But we saw down the stretch here, as he got banged up, he had that knee injury, the touchdowns dried up, and so did his fantasy value. And that's the worry here is like if he's not scoring 14, 15 touchdowns, yeah, you're going to probably really wish you didn't have Josh Jacobs. This is a guy now that has a ton of wear and tear on him. We saw that knee injury towards the end of the year. I just think there's a ton of risk with Josh Jacobs going into this offseason. Again, I would rather trade away, especially a running back like this, I'd rather trade him away a year or two too early than be stuck with this guy when his value is absolutely plummeting, which could happen as early as 2026, depending on what happens with the Packers. And again, if I can trade him and get like a mid to late first, like the 108 to the 112, I would just do that. Let me get younger at running back. Let me get younger at wide receiver and get rid of the risk of Jacobs. Or if I can get a younger running back like RJ Harvey, who is still being valued, below Josh Jacobs in Dynasty, give me RJ Harvey here. This guy is ready to actually be a stud in fantasy. I think it's a great buy low here. And same with a wide receiver like Zay Flowers. He's still only 25 years old. Yes, he's kind of been volatile and frustrating, but he's got Lamar Jackson. Whoever the new head coach is going to be, you got to think they're going to bring in a coach that's going to help the passing game, help Lamar Jackson. That seemed to be the issue with John Harbaugh. So I think this is a good time to go buy low on Zay Flowers. Just go ahead, trade away Josh Jacobs, the risk of Josh Jacobs. Go get younger with RJ Harvey or Zay Flowers. But whatever you decide to do with your Dynasty team, make sure you stay tuned to Fantasy Endgame all off season. We got all the Dynasty coverage you need. Every video, if you missed any of our amazing content, you can find everything here. Rookie breakdowns, mock drafts, buy lows, whatever you need in our playlist right here.